Welcome to the Voices of the Goddess podcast. We believe that there is a goddess inside each and every one of us. When we use our voice to share that goddess, we support and uplift each other. Join us each week as we interview women to receive the message of their goddess within. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Voices of the Goddess podcast, where we empower, inspire, and uplift women to become the goddesses they were meant to be. I'm Julietta, the magical PT. I'm down here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I support women and men in their healing journeys and supporting them in creating balance in their body, mind, and spirit so that they can live their best life. I'm also a fur baby mom to my kitty cat, Merlin, who missed me I was gone for a little over 2 weeks. That's the longest I've ever been away from home. And he was very happy to see me, but he also misbehaved to let me know that he was not happy that I left him for so long. But it was super great to sleep in my own bed last night and wake up in my own home this morning, even though it was at 3 a.m. because I'm on Egyptian time.
I wondered about that. I'm like, is she going to be dying at 1, be like, okay, I'm done?
Well, hopefully not, because I have 3 clients that I have to treat this afternoon. So okay. I am just channeling the goddess energy, especially my favorite Egyptian goddess, who is Sekhmet. She's a goddess of healing. And so I'm channeling her today so I can make it through this whole day.
Good.
Who are you?
Well, aside from the fact that I keep watching the dogs because they're going to start playing here in a minute and what's going to break loose in my house. So let me introduce myself quickly. My name is Allison Mancini. I am a holistic nutritionist. I am also in Florida. I do live in South Florida, but I am currently in central South Florida, kind of South Central area. And it's nice and cold here this morning. It's 57 and I'm loving it. But I am a mom to 2 humans that are full grown adults, 25 and 22. I am a fur mom and a fur grandma, and I've got both of them here right now. So it's a little chaotic. And I am married to an amazing guy. We have been married for 28 years, been together for over 30. And, my passion is helping women, and actually you heal with all your amazing energy work and physical therapy and all the crystals and amazing things you do. And my passion is to heal women with their food, with nutrition and good food. So that is where we are at. So I'm dying to hear more about your trip. Because I've never been to Egypt. And after seeing your pictures, I really had no interest. I was just going to tell you, I really did not have an interest in going to Egypt. I'm like, meh. And then I saw some of your pictures. And then I saw that parade that they did with and then I was like, okay, that's it. I'm going to Egypt. So anyways, go ahead. Tell us about Egypt.
So, and for all the listeners out there, I went to Egypt the first time, thought it would be my only time. And then immediately upon returning, knew I had to go back. And as I was heading over there, the second time is I know there's going to be a third time. So anybody who wants to join in on the experience, let me know. And I don't know if we're going to make that next year or maybe skip a year. I'm open to anything, but it is going to happen again. So if you're interested in going, get in touch with me. Go in 2 years?
2 years, just because I need to finish my youngest through college and then I can go.
Okay.
Or
maybe I'll do both. Maybe I'll end up going 4 times.
Fine.
But it's once you go, you can't, you just keep getting pulled back. So the one story that I'm going to share, because everybody's laughing at my comment of it was interesting. So my friend and I ended up staying 2 extra days, or actually 3 extra days, something like that. 3 extra days in Egypt. And we decided that we were going to go to Alexandria because I hadn't been there before. It wasn't part of the tour. And You hear all these great things about Alexandria. And so we decided we were going to take a train. And they have like 4 different levels of train. And we were going to get on the VIP train, which is like a nonstop train, you know, Egyptian luxury, which is not the same as US luxury or whatever. But anyway, you know, I've ridden on trains before. I've traveled by train in Europe. And so I'm like, yeah, no problem. So we get to the train station, which was actually, I don't know, like there's pictures on my Facebook page of the train station. It was very pretty, like very tree of life. And they had like a tourism office there. They were super helpful and kind, helping us out. But the train that we were supposed to be on was like MIA. It was coming from Aswan and via Luxor, and it still wasn't there, and it was going to be late, and nobody knew how late it was going to be. And then at one point it's like, okay, there's another train that's leaving for Alexandria, and our train is still, nobody knows where it is or where it's coming. So we made the decision to hop on this other train, which was not a VIP train. And we thought this train had 3 stops. I'm like, I think maybe they meant 13. I don't know. Like we lost track of how many times we stopped. But we got on this train, and like every cell in my being that's like germaphobe and disgusting was activated. Oh my God. Like I felt like I needed like a special suit to be on this train. But what I will say, like, I'm grateful for that experience. It was like truly like we were for sure the only non-Egyptians on that train. So it was like total immersion. Nobody speaks English, you know, so we're just having a good time. But, you know, as we're going through and watching the scenery go by and like traveling through all the different towns that we traveled through, you know, I always like, to me, November isn't just Thanksgiving. Like the entire month is really focused on gratitude for me. And like, it just so amped up my level of gratitude for living in the US and having access to, I mean, the stuff that we just completely take for granted can be a luxury over there. Like words cannot even describe how so many of these people live and how little they have. And so the next time you think about complaining about anything here in this country, it could be so much worse. So,
well, I think that even says a lot that they have different levels of trains. That's
yes, there's like 4 different levels of trains.
That's yeah. Wow. All right.
Are we ready to bring our guest on?
I think we need to bring our guest on. She's waiting patiently. I love it. Hello, Morgana.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Can you please introduce yourself to our audience and tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do?
I will. Thanks for having me. My name is Morgana Mueser, and I am a mom like you, and to a 20-year-old in college up in New York, and fur mom to 2 dogs and a cat, and they're in here, so I'm hoping they're going to stay quiet. And I have been a physical therapist for 23 years, but life has led me in a different direction as of late. For 6 years, I've been a massage therapist, and I got laid off during the pandemic in June of 2020 and decided not to go back when the spa that I worked at reopened. I just didn't feel safe doing massage. I just couldn't imagine how I was going to social distance. And when we didn't know as much about COVID, I just decided to take a pause. So I did a variety of things. I worked on the election. I drove seniors around to appointments. I did some caregiving. But then back in April of this year, I reopened a private practice doing massage, physical therapy, and ergonomic consulting, which I did some training in during the pandemic just to add to my toolbox. And so my business is called Triple Spiral, which Julietta talks about body, mind, spirit. Well, I have it actually tattooed on me, and it's a concept that's important to me that, you know, in my business, you know, massage, you're not just massaging muscles, you're actually, you know, you're healing people in all the aspects of their life. And so like I said, I'm doing mobile work primarily, but I do also have an office, and just building the business back by word of mouth mostly, just because I can't take on just anybody with mobile massage. You know, somebody just contacted me on Facebook. You know, it's not always safe to go to somebody's house you don't know. But so far it's going well, and I'm excited to be here.
Yay.
We're excited to have you. And I have to apologize because you just made a comment about dogs in the background. My dogs are full on playing right now, and they're like barking and growling. So I will keep muting myself. They're not. And Juliette has seen them. They're like, oh, there they go. And there it is.
So I guess that means I will be answering, or I'll be asking the questions this morning. And let's dive right in. Our first question, Morgana, is what is your superpower?
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm quite goddess level yet, but I feel like the closest thing I can think of superpower is that I can develop a rapport with people really quickly and make them feel at ease, which is good in the line of work that I do. And I don't know if it's just energetically I can kind of align with somebody and help to bring them down, or just trying to be a good listener and holding space. In massage school, we call that having unconditional positive regard for somebody. So just a non-judgmental being with them. So I guess that was the closest thing I could come up with. Superpower.
No, that's an amazing superpower. And I have to say, like, in our profession, I don't take students anymore, but you know, there was times during my 30-year PT career. Yes, I started when I was 2. Gets younger and younger as my years of practice get more and more. But I would always tell my students the greatest skill that you need to have as a physical therapist is being able to develop a rapport with your clients. Because if they don't feel good with you, it doesn't matter how good you are as a therapist, how skilled your hands are, how much knowledge you possess about the functioning of the musculoskeletal system of the body. If you can't develop rapport with your patients, you're not going to help them. So that's a really important superpower to have as a physical therapist, as a massage therapist.
It's funny as you say that about being a clinical instructor. My first clinical instructor in my first PT rotation said, talk confident. Like, even if you don't know the answer, like, exude confidence, like, gain their trust, let them feel like you know the answer, and then you go look it up. You know, when they're not looking, then you're like in your book looking for the answer.
We call that fake it till you make it.
Right.
I would always say too, as a physical therapist, like, you graduate with this degree, and basically all you've really learned is next to nothing, basically how not to kill someone. Right. But you don't really have any like fantastic skills to help your patients when you graduate. So yeah, you just have to come out straight out and pretend you know what you're doing until you do know what you're doing.
Right.
I think that's like good advice though, just in general, right? In anything, like even when I think about and I know I refer back to this a lot, but when I look at my kids and the age that they're at right now, and my son had to step into a job where he's dealing with a lot of parents and young kids. And, there's times where he'll call me up and he's like, I'm not a parent or anything. He's like, but Mom, this is what I told them. I'm like, listen, you have the confidence. I said, the best thing you can say to them is, I'm not a parent. I'm not going to give you parenting advice, but this is our rules here. And this is how we do it, and have that confidence. And that's all you can do. And it's just like you guys just said, it's like, fake it till you make it. You just got to figure it out. And I think anybody starting in something new, even for me, because I just started in nutrition, not even a year ago, my first couple clients, I was so nervous because I'm like, what if they ask me something I don't know? Well, it's probably going to happen. And, it's one of those things, like you said, Morgana, it's like you just are confident about it and you respond the best you can. And then I go and I look it up and then I email them. And I'm like, hey, this is what I found for you.
Right.
So,
that's how I am.
The same thing with the podcast. We didn't know anything about podcasting, but here we are.
And here we are.
That's where I am with the ergonomic, consulting, because that's a new tool that I added. And so I've only done a couple, paid ones. But I practiced on some friends to get ready to do ones for people in their home. So
we all have to start somewhere. So it's perfect. Yay. All right. Question number 2. What is a book that has greatly influenced you?
So, in massage school, we were introduced to Brene Brown, and my first book that we read kind of as a book club after school was The Gifts of Imperfection. And that's one of my favorite books. And I read it multiple times. Just the idea of, courage, compassion, connection. And I think the biggest thing for me was like not hiding your shame story, and is important. Like it has power over you when you keep it a secret, but in sharing it, then you're freed from it. And, being vulnerable, causes you to be able to have a deeper connection with people. But it kind of got me started on, like, I read others of her books, like Daring Greatly, I really like, because that's the one that starts with the man in the arena speech, the Roosevelt speech. And it's so important to be the man, fighting and failing and getting dirty down in the arena, trying and being vulnerable and putting himself out there, versus the critic or the observers sitting up in the stands, who aren't, putting themselves out there and taking any risks. So to have great reward, you have to risk. And it's that fail until you don't idea. But I did also, like, that caught me on the journey of self-help books. And I do like Gary John Bishop. I don't know if you know him. I don't know if I can say the titles of his books on your show, but
yes, you can say the title. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I listened to him because he's Scottish and he's hilarious. And so the first one is Unfuck Yourself, which is basically like, stop blaming everyone else for your problems. Take ownership of it. And then the follow-up is stop doing that shit. And that was the one that was really impactful for me, because it kind of helps you find the stories that you've made up in your mind about yourself, other people, and life. And so the story I had made up about myself is that I was not enough, and about other people is that people will let you down, and about the world is that, or life is a struggle. So you basically, when you can't help yourself have that reaction to situations, but like in knowing that that's your gut reaction to it, then you can alter your behavior. So I actually have enough tattooed on my arm as kind of an affirmation that I am enough, but also to tell me that's enough already. Stop regurgitating and talking about, a negative thought spiral. So
I love that. And those books have come up before on the show as well. We're not opposed to interesting language on the show.
Yeah. I actually read his books during the beginning of the pandemic, and both my kids had come back home because they were in college, and college kind of came to a halt and everything was online. So they came home for like 4 months, and my son started reading those books, Gary John Bishop. He loves them, and they are so great. He's very funny, but he's also extremely, he has a great ability to really easily explain things, right? Like it was so easy to, I mean, reading his work is just so eye-opening and not difficult at the same time. So it's like, oh, because I do the same thing. Like the two that you were saying about what were you saying about those two things that you've discovered with him?
Like that I am not enough and that people will let you down.
Yes. I didn't realize that the thing about people will let you down. I didn't realize that was one of my hangups until I was reading his book, and I was like, oh, holy cow. Like I really do have that issue. Mm-hmm. So it's a great read. And I love Brene Brown. I talk about her all the time. She's awesome.
I think you should have her on the show. She's a goddess.
You know what? I would
Come
love
on, Brene.
We're going to put that out there in the universe. I would probably, I can't even talk, just even thinking about it.
You know, like our guests talk about being nervous coming on our show. Like, how nervous would we be having her as a guest on our show? But totally open. Put that out there to the universe. We would love to have Brene Brown on our show.
Awesome.
Love it. She would be the
if anybody has any
amazing goddess. Holy cow.
We're open.
Well, she has a new book coming out, so maybe you can be like, hey, come talk about your book.
She does have a new book. It is coming out.
It could be our book for our book club.
Let's do that. And you know what's so cool about her? When you listen to her, I love her because she's so like I feel like I could totally hang out with her. Like she's so chill,
she's real.
Right? She's so real. But she's so wicked smart. Holy cow. Amazing. Okay, we could go on about that. We need to move on to the next question. Sorry. Okay,
we need to get on with the questions.
Yes, where are you coming? Okay.
So, third question, Morgana, is what is your favorite self-love practice?
Well, I'd love to say massage, and I do love massage, and I'm getting better at treating myself. But it's not something that I do regularly enough to say that's it. I would say I love walking my dogs because I do that every morning, and it's for them, but it's also for me because I get to see how joyful they are, and I get to be out moving in nature, and it's just a time for me to be off of my phone and just kind of start the day right. So I'm always sad when it's pouring down rain because they don't want to go out. And we can't get our walk in. But yeah, I would say I love showers and baths. You know, hot water is essential to get me going. But I would say the dog walking, that's something about moving, and I get my thoughts going, and it's great.
Nice.
I'll agree with you there.
I don't have dogs. I've never had dogs, only because my life is so crazy. Like, dogs do need to be walked, and they need to be let outside. And sometimes my schedule does not really allow for that, but I do love dogs. And, I don't get to walk my cat, but just being in their presence is healing. And when I got home last night and my cat came for some hugs and some attention, I was like, oh, so sweet.
Yeah, my cat, I have a 19-pound cat. He's big.
Mine is too. I think mine's 18, so you might have mine by a pound. But
he'll lay on my chest. And I read recently that when they lay on your chest and purr, they're healing you.
Yeah. Aww. Cats are the ultimate healers. When people don't like cats, I'm like, you just don't understand how powerful they are. But and I always say too, if I could have a pet tiger, I would. But I totally get, even with my little cat, so I swear, I'm like, if he could eat me, he would.
And the big tigers purr, the big cats purr. It's really neat.
Yeah. But beautiful. All right. Fourth and final question is, how do you create accountability in your life, Morgana?
Yeah, I am not always that good at this one, and I recognize that. So I am working with a business coach now, and I had hired her um, because I didn't want to hold myself small. I wanted somebody to kind of push me outside of my comfort zone. And we meet most weeks, but sometimes every other week, depending on if we have a conflict. And I do an online exercise accountability group like Beachbody, do my little, online workout and then post my sweaty post exercise picture. But yeah, I'm pretty bad because I feel like I'm the person I'm always busy. Like I'm always productive. I don't feel like I'm a lazy person, but I very easily do things that aren't as important as the top things on my to-do list. It's an avoidance. And so, having somebody to hold me accountable to the things I really need to be focusing on is good. And it has to be external because I haven't been able to, internalize that accountability.
Yeah. And I'm sure, and that's why we have this question, is because it's something that so many of us struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
And both Allison and I are huge fans of having coaches. And if it was easy for us to hold ourselves accountable, like we'd all have so much,
Right.
greater success and everything. So having that, recognizing that we need some external support in our accountability is just so important. So, everything you were saying, I'm sure that so many of our listeners out there can relate to that. So, moral of the story is, if you're struggling with accountability, get a coach.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And that was something I learned doing the transformational training I did last year, is that I kind of missed that group of people, encouraging everyone to meet their goals. That was what it was all about. And so this year, I felt like I needed that external support, and I'm looking for maybe like a mastermind. I'd really like to get involved in like a mastermind group. I've been in one before, like other women entrepreneurs, talking about business struggles.
So I don't know if you know Morgana, but we are we have a mastermind group. It's like a 16-week journey, and we're coming close to the end of our first mastermind, and sometime after the first of the year, we're going to start our second mastermind group, specifically for goddesses like all of us. Women who need support in accomplishing their goals, because we all have like so many amazing goals, and how many of them just like get dumped by the wayside because we don't have that external support that we need to get us there. So mastermind groups are a great support system, and also like a really nice way. It's like, it's not as expensive as hiring a personal coach, so it's a way to get coaching and support at a level that's more affordable for many people. So
right. And you get a lot of different, points
input
of view
from the different people. Yeah. Like when you're working with a coach, it's you and your coach. And working in our mastermind, there's Allison and I, but then there's also all the other women in the mastermind together, that you get each other's support and viewpoints and input. And, because we're all full of amazing, useful information. Like it kind of was like our last podcast where we were talking about, like, we all have these skills that we don't think anything of because it's just so easy and secondhand to us. We also all have all this knowledge that we think like, it's no big deal, but to someone who doesn't have that knowledge, it's a huge deal. So we all have those resources within us. So yeah.
Cool.
All right. Are you ready with your takeaway, Miss Allison?
I think that I am. I think it just goes back to the importance, like Morgana said. I think accountability is a struggle that we all have. And if you're listening and you're out there in the audience, you've never worked with a business coach, or you've never been part of a mastermind group, or you have never like done something that really helps you to stay accountable, I cannot recommend it enough. Like, it is so, so, so critical. And I think it's just like Morgana said, she's making changes in her business and doing different things. And she has that business coach, and it's really they're there to like keep you going, right? I mean, when you have those excuses, because we all have them, why you can't get something done, or you don't have the time, or whatever you want to make up to keep you from doing what you need to do, your coach is there to be like, no, don't think so. Like, this is what this is where you want to be. And, I started working with a coach myself over a year ago. Actually, now one of my careers is working for her now. I actually am on her staff, but I think that coaches is such a really, really, really important aspect, and it doesn't have to be forever. And it's just like Julietta said, because I think my hang up with a coach was, I can't afford that. That's just for people who have a ton of money and they can do that. And that's not it at all. There are plenty of ways to find a coach, no matter where you are financially. There's all kinds of ways. So that would be my takeaway from today.
My takeaway is that we get to open ourselves up to having bigger, more famous, I don't know what the right word is, but guests on our show. Like, we've had some people that I'm like, these are some rock star people. They have lots of followers. And you know what? As awesome as those people are, like, we can have even more famous people on our show. So I am just putting that out there to the universe. Anybody out there, we are ready to have you on our show. Morgana, what is your takeaway from today's show?
You took mine. I was like, I want Brené Brown on Voices of the Goddess.
Yes.
I feel like doing her book as your book club would be perfect, and she could hear about it. And you have enough people out there on social media saying that,
yes,
they want her to come. Then
yes, that would be awesome.
I totally think she'll do it.
And it's okay for us to have the same takeaway. So
okay.
It happens all the time on the show. You don't have to have.
Okay. Well, I also enjoyed talking with you ladies. It's nice to take, time out of your day just to, have a pleasant conversation and,
Sure.
Not be off to the races immediately as soon as the day starts. So.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Morgana. It has been a pleasure to have you on our show. And I also want to thank all of our listeners out there, whether you're watching us on YouTube or listening on one of the multiple podcast platforms out there. Thank you. We're finding difficulties. It's okay. Part of my brain is still in Egypt. And also, I did get some feedback while in Egypt as well, that you can listen to our show directly from our website as well. And one woman who listens regularly said that's where she goes to listen, is straight on the website. So if you're looking for an easy platform, that might be it as well. But I want to invite you all to follow, subscribe, like, share the podcast. Help us keep generating more success so we will attract some amazing people like Brené Brown to be on our podcast. And
I just have to interject really quickly.
Go ahead.
I forgot to do in our previous interview was to wish you a happy birthday, Julietta. It is her birthday today, and she is spending her morning with me and all of our guests.
This is awesome. I love it. Okay, so back on track. If you would like to be a guest on our podcast, Brené Brown or anybody else out there, there is a form on our website you can fill out to request to be on the show, and we will get in touch and schedule you to be on. And like I said, you can listen to our podcast there as well. Our website is otgpodcast.com. And I guess it's time to wrap it up. I want to wish everybody out there a very magical day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.